Butterwell's stewards had found rooms in the keep for the lords and ladies, and beds in the barracks for their retinues. The rest of the guests had their choice between a straw pallet in the cellar or a spot of ground beneath the western walls to raise their pavilions. The modest sailcloth tent Dunk had acquired in Stony Sept was no pavilion, but it kept the rain and sun off. Some of his neighbors were still awake, the silken walls of their pavilions glowing like colored lanterns in the night. Laughter came from inside a blue pavilion covered with sunflowers, and the sounds of love from one striped in white and purple. Egg had set up their own tent a bit apart from the others. Maester and the two horses were hobbled nearby, and Dunk's arms and armor had been neatly stacked against the castle walls. When he crept into the tent, he found his squire sitting cross-legged by a candle, his head shining as he peered over a book.
"Reading books by candlelight'll make you blind."
Reading remained a mystery to Dunk, though the lad had tried to teach him. "I need the candlelight to see the words, sir."
"Do you want a clout in the ear? What book is that?"
Dunk saw bright colors on the page, little painted shields hiding in amongst the letters. "A roll of arms, sir."
"Looking for the fiddler? You won't find him. They don't put edge knights in those rolls, just lords and champions."
"I wasn't looking for him. I saw some other sigils in the yard. Lord Sunderland is here, sir. He bears the heads of 3 pale ladies on undie green and blue."
"A sisterman? Truly?"
The 3 sisters were islands in the Bight. Dunk had heard Septon say that the isles were sinks of sin and avarice. Sisterton was the most notorious smuggler's den in all of Westeros.
"He's come a long way. He must be kin to Butterwell's new bride."
"He isn't, sir."
"Then he's here for the feast. They eat fish on the 3 sisters, don't they? A man gets sick of fish. Did you get enough to eat? I brought you half a capon and some cheese."
Dunk rummaged in the pocket of his cloak. "They fed us ribs, sir." Egg's nose was deep in the book. "Lord Sunderland fought for the Black Dragon, sir."
"Like old Sir Eustace? He wasn't so bad, was he?"
"No, sir," Egg said. "But—"
"I saw the dragon's egg."
Dunk squirreled the food away with their hard bread and salt beef.
"It was red, mostly. Does Lord Bloodraven own a dragon's egg as well?"
Egg lowered his book. "Why would he? He's base-born."
"Bastard-born, not base-born."
Bloodraven had been born on the wrong side of the blanket, but he was noble on both sides. Dunk was about to tell Egg about the men he'd overheard when he noticed his face.
"What happened to your lip?"
"A fight, sir."
"Let me see it."
"It only bled a little. I dabbed some wine on it."
"Who were you fighting?"
"Some other squires. They said—"
"Never mind what they said. What did I tell you?"
"To hold my tongue and make no trouble." The boy touched his broken lip. "They called my father a kinslayer, though."
"He is, lad, though I do not think he meant it."
Dunk had told Egg 100 times not to take such words to heart. "You know the truth. Let that be enough." They had heard such talk before, in wine sinks and low taverns, and around campfires in the woods. The whole realm knew how Prince Maekar's mace had felled his brother Baelor Breakspear at Ashford Meadow. Talk of plots was only to be expected.
"If they knew Prince Maekar was your father, they would never have said such things.
Behind your back, yes, but never to your face."
"And what did you tell these other squires, instead of holding your tongue?"
Egg looked abashed. "That Prince Baelor's death was just a mishap. Only when I said Prince Maekar loved his brother Baelor, Sir Adam's squire said he loved him to death, and Sir Malor's squire said he meant to love his brother Eris the same way. That was when I hit him. I hit him good."
"I ought to hit you good. A fat ear to go with that fat lip. Your father would do the same if he were here. Do you think Prince Makar needs a little boy to defend him? What did he tell you when he sent you off with me?
To serve you faithfully as your squire and not flinch from any task or hardship.
And what else?
To obey the king's laws, the rules of chivalry, and you.
And what else?
To keep my hair shaven or dyed, the boy said, with obvious reluctance, and tell no man my true name.
Dunk nodded. How much wine had this boy drunk?
He was drinking barley beer.
You see, the barley beer was talking. Words are wind, Egg. Just let them blow on past you.
Some words are wind.
The boy was nothing if not stubborn.
Some words are treason. This is a traitor's tourney, sir.
What, all of them?
Dunk shook his head.
If it was true, that was a long time ago. The Black Dragon's dead, and those who fought with him have fled or pardoned. And it's not true. Lord Butterwell's sons fought on both sides.
That makes him half a traitor, sir.
16 years ago.
Dunk's mellow, whiny haze was gone. He felt angry and near sober.
Lord Butterwell's steward is the master of the games, a man named Cosgrove. Find him and enter my name for the lists. No, wait. Hold back my name.
With so many lords on hand, one of them might recall Sir Duncan the Tall from Ashford Meadow.
Enter me as the Gallows Knight.
The small folk loved it when a mystery knight appeared at a tourney. Egg fingered his fat lip. The Gallows Knight, sir?
For the shield.
Yes, but...
Go do as I said. You've read enough for one night.
Dunk pinched the candle out between his thumb and forefinger. The sun rose hot and hard, implacable. Waves of heat rose shimmering off the white stones of the castle. The air smelled of baked earth and torn grass, and no breath of wind stirred the banners that drooped atop the keep and gatehouse, green and white and yellow. Thunder was restless, in a way that Dunk had seldom seen before. The stallion tossed his head from side to side as Egg was tightening his saddle cinch. He even bared his big square teeth at the boy. It is so hot, Dunk thought. Too hot for man or mount. A warhorse does not have a placid disposition even at the best of times. The mother herself would be foul-tempered in this heat. In the center of the yard, the jousters began another run. Sir Harbert rode a golden courser, barded in black and decorated with the red and white serpents of House Page. Sir Franklin, a sorrel whose gray silk trappings bore the twin towers of Frey. When they came together, the red and white lance cracked clean in two, and the blue one exploded into splinters, but neither man lost his seat. A cheer went up from the viewing stand and the guardsmen on the castle walls, but it was short and thin and hollow. It is too hot for cheering. Dunk mopped sweat from his brow. It is too hot for jousting. His head was beating like a drum. Let me win this tilt and one more, and I will be content. The knights wheeled their horses about at the end of the lists, and tossed down the jagged remains of their lances, the fourth pair they had broken. 3 too many. Dunk had put off donning his armor as long as he dared, yet already he could feel his small clothes sticking to his skin beneath his steel. There are worse things than being soaked with sweat, he told himself, remembering the fight on the White Lady, when the Iron Men had come swarming over her side. He had been soaked in blood by the time that day was done. Fresh lances in hand, Page and Frey put their spurs into their mounts once again. Clods of cracked, dry earth sprayed back from beneath their horses' hooves with every stride. The crack of the lances breaking made Dunk wince. Too much wine last night, and too much food. He had some vague memory of carrying the bride up the steps and meeting John the Fiddler and Lord Peake upon a roof. What was I doing on a roof? There had been talk of dragons, he recalled, or dragon's eggs, or something, but... A noise broke his reverie, part roar and part moan. Dunk saw the golden horse trotting riderless to the end of the lists, as Sir Harbert Page rolled feebly on the ground. 2 more before my turn. The sooner he unhorsed Sir Uthor, the sooner he could take his armor off, have a cool drink, and rest. He should have at least an hour before they called him forth again. Lord Butterwell's portly herald climbed to the top of the viewing stand to summon the next pair of jousters.
Sir Argrave the Defiant,
he called.
A knight of Nunney in service to Lord Butterwell of Whitewalls. Sir Glendon Flowers, the Knight of the Pussy Willows. Come forth and prove your valor.
A gale of laughter rippled through the viewing stands. Sir Argrave was a spare, leathery man, a seasoned household knight in dinted gray armor riding an unbarded horse. Dunk had known his sort before. Such men were tough as old roots and knew their business. His foe was young Sir Glendon, mounted on his wretched stot and armored in a heavy mail hauberk and open-faced iron half-helm. On his arm, his shield displayed his father's fiery sigil. He needs a breastplate and a proper helm, Dunk thought. A blow to the head or chest could kill him clad like that. Sir Glendon was plainly furious at his introduction. He wheeled his mount in an angry circle and shouted, "I am Glendon Bull, not Glendon Flowers. Mock me at your peril, herald. I warn you, I have hero's blood." The herald did not deign to reply, but more laughter greeted the young knight's protest. Why are they laughing at him? Dunk wondered aloud. Is he a bastard, then? Flowers was the surname given to bastards born of noble parents in the Reach. And what was all that about pussy willows? I could find out, sir, said Egg. No, it's none of our concern. Do you have my helm? Sir Argrave and Sir Glendon dipped their lances before Lord and Lady Butterwell. Dunk saw Butterwell lean over and whisper something in his bride's ear. The girl began to giggle. Yes, sir. Egg had donned his floppy hat, to shade his eyes and keep the sun off his shaven head. Dunk liked to tease the boy about that hat, but just now he wished he had one like it. Better a straw hat than an iron one beneath this sun. He pushed his hair out of his eyes, eased the great helm down into place with 2 hands, and fastened it to his gorget. The lining stank of old sweat, and he could feel the weight of all that iron on his neck and shoulders. His head throbbed from last night's wine. Sir, Egg said, it is not too late to withdraw. If you lose thunder in your armor, I would be done as a knight. Why should I lose? Dunk demanded. Sir Argrave and Sir Glendon had ridden to opposite sides of the lists. It is not as if I face the laughing storm. Is there some knight here like to give me trouble? Almost all of them, sir. I owe you a clout in the ear for that. Sir Uthor is 10 years my senior and half my size. Sir Argrave lowered his visor. Sir Glendon did not have a visor to lower. You have not ridden in a tilt since Ashford Meadow, sir. Insolent boy. I've trained. Not as faithfully as he might have, to be sure. When he could, he took his turn riding at quintains or rings, where such were available, and sometimes he would command Egg to climb a tree and hang a shield or barrel stave beneath a well-placed limb for them to tilt at. You're better with a sword than with a lance, Egg said. With an axe or a mace, there are few to match your strength. There was enough truth in that to annoy Dunk all the more.
There is no contest for swords and maces,
he pointed out, as Fireball's son and Sir Argrave the Defiant began their charge.
Get my shield.
Egg made a face, then went to fetch the shield. Across the yard, Sir Argrave's lance struck Sir Glendon's shield and glanced off, leaving a gouge across the comet. But Ball's coronal found the center of his foe's breastplate with such force that it burst his saddle cinch. Knight and saddle both went tumbling to the dust. Dunk was impressed despite himself. The boy jousts almost as well as he talks. He wondered if that would stop their laughing at him. A trumpet rang, loud enough to make Dunk wince. Once more the herald climbed his stand.
Sir Geoffrey of House Caswell, Lord of Bitterbridge and Defender of the Fords, Sir Kyle, the Cat of Misty Moor, come forth and prove your valor.
Sir Kyle's armor was of good quality, but old and worn, with many dints and scratches.
The mother has been merciful to me, Sir Duncan,
he told Dunk and Egg on his way to the lists.
I'm sent against Lord Caswell, the very man I came to see.
If any man upon the field felt worse than Dunk this morning, it had to be Lord Caswell, who had drunk himself insensible at the feast.
It's a wonder he can sit a horse after last night,
said Dunk.
The victory's yours, sir.
Oh, no. Sir Kyle smiled a silken smile.
The cat who wants his bowl of cream must know when to purr and when to show his claws, Sir Duncan. If his lordship's lance so much as scrapes against my shield, I shall go tumbling to the earth. Afterward, when I bring my horse and armor to him, I will compliment his lordship on how much his prowess has grown since I made him his first sword. That will recall me to him, and before the day is out, I shall be a Caswell man again, a knight of Bitterbridge.
There is no honor in that, Dunk almost said, but he bit his tongue instead. Sir Kyle would not be the first hedge knight to train his honor for a warm place by the fire.
As you say, he muttered. Good fortune to you, or bad if you prefer.
Lord Geoffrey Caswell was a weedy youth of 20, though admittedly he looked rather more impressive in his armor than he had last night when he'd been face down in a puddle of wine. A yellow centaur was painted on his shield, pulling on a longbow. The same centaur adorned the white silk trappings of his horse and gleamed atop his helm in yellow gold. A man who has a centaur for his sigil should ride better than that. Dunk did not know how well Sir Kyle wielded a lance, but from the way Lord Caswell sat his horse, it looked as though a loud cough might unseat him. All the cat need do is ride past him very fast. Egg held Thunder's bridle as Dunk swung himself ponderously up into the high, stiff saddle. As he sat there waiting, he could feel the eyes upon him. They are wondering if the big hedge knight is any good. Dunk wondered that himself. He would find out soon enough. The Cat of Misty Moor was true to his word. Lord Caswell's lance was wobbling all the way across the field, and Sir Kyle's was ill-aimed. Neither man got his horse up past a trot. All the same, the cat went tumbling when Lord Geoffrey's coronal chanced to whack his shoulder. I thought all cats landed gracefully upon their feet, Dunk thought, as the hedge knight rolled in the dust. Lord Caswell's lance remained unbroken. As he brought his horse around, he thrust it high into the air repeatedly, as if he'd just unseated Leo Longthorn or the Laughing Storm. The cat pulled off his helm and went chasing down his horse.
My shield,
Dunk said to Egg. The boy handed it up. He slipped his left arm through the strap and closed his hand around the grip. The weight of the kite shield was reassuring, though its length made it awkward to handle, and seeing the hanged man once again gave him an uneasy feeling. Those are ill-omened arms. He resolved to get the shield repainted as soon as he could. May the warrior grant me a smooth course and a quick victory, he prayed, as Butterwell's herald was clambering up the steps once more.
Sir Uthor Underleaf,
His voice rang out.
the gallows knight, come forth and prove your valor.
Be careful, sir, Egg warned as he handed Dunk a tourney lance, a tapered wooden shaft 12 feet long ending in a rounded iron coronal in the shape of a closed fist. The other squires say Sir Uthor has a good seat, and he's quick.
Quick? Dunk snorted. He has a snail on his shield. How quick can he be?
He put his feet into Thunder's flanks and walked the horse slowly forward, his lance upright. One victory, and I am no worse than before. 2 will leave us well ahead. 2 is not too much to hope for, in this company. He had been fortunate in the lots, at least. He could as easily have drawn the old ox or Sir Kirby Pym or some other local hero. Dunk wondered if the Master of Games was deliberately matching the hedge knights against each other, so no lordling need suffer the ignominy of losing to one in the first round. It does not matter. 1 foe at a time. That was what the old man always said. Sir Uthor is all that should concern me now. They met beneath the viewing stand where Lord and Lady Butterwell sat on their cushions in the shade of the castle walls. Lord Frey was beside them, dandling his snot-nosed son on one knee. A row of serving girls were fanning them, yet Lord Butterwell's damask tunic was stained beneath the arms, and his lady's hair was limp from perspiration. She looked hot, bored, and uncomfortable, but when she saw Dunk, she pushed out her chest in a way that turned him red beneath his helm. He dipped his lance to her and her lord husband. Sir Uthor did the same. Butterwell wished them both a good tilt. His wife stuck out her tongue. It was time. Dunk trotted back to the south end of the lists. 80 feet away, his opponent was taking up his position as well. His gray stallion was smaller than Thunder, but younger and more spirited. Sir Uthor wore green enamel plate and silvery chainmail. Streamers of green and gray silk flowed from his rounded bassinet, and his green shield bore a silver snail. Good armor and a good horse means a good ransom if I unseat him. A trumpet sounded. Thunder started forward at a slow trot. Dunk swung his lance to the left and brought it down, so it angled across the horse's head and the wooden barrier between him and his foe. His shield protected the left side of his body. He crouched forward, legs tightening as Thunder drove down the lists. We are one. Man, horse, lance, we are one beast of blood and wood and iron. Sir Uthor was charging hard, clouds of dust kicking up from the hooves of his gray. With 40 yards between them, Dunk spurred Thunder to a gallop and aimed the point of his lance squarely at the silver snail. The sullen sun, the dust, the heat, the castle, Lord Butterwell and his bride, the fiddler and Sir Maynard, knights, squires, grooms, small folk, all vanished. Only the foe remained. The spurs again. Thunder broke into a run. The snail was rushing toward them, growing with every stride of the gray's long legs, but ahead came Sir Uthor's lance with its iron fist. My shield is strong. My shield will take the blow. Only the snail matters. Strike the snail and the tilt is mine. When 10 yards remained between them, Sir Uthor shifted the point of his lance upward. A crack rang in Dunk's ears as his lance hit. He felt the impact in his arm and shoulder, but never saw the blow strike home. Uthor's iron fist took him square between his eyes, with all the force of man and horse behind it. Dunk woke upon his back, staring up at the arches of a barrel-vaulted ceiling. For a moment he did not know where he was, or how he had arrived there. Voices echoed in his head, and faces drifted past him. Old Sir Arlen, Tanzel Too-Tall, Bennis of the Brown Shield, the Red Widow, Baelor Breakspear, Arion the Bright Prince, Mad, Sad, Lady Vaith. Then all at once the joust came back to him. The heat, the snail, the iron fist coming at his face. He groaned and rolled onto one elbow. The movement set his skull to pounding like some monstrous war drum. Both of his eyes seemed to be working, at least. Nor could he feel a hole in his head, which was all to the good. He was in some cellar, he saw, with casks of wine and ale on every side. At least it is cool here, he thought, and drink is close at hand. The taste of blood was in his mouth. Dunk felt a stab of fear. If he had bitten off his tongue, he would be dumb as well as thick.
"Good morrow,"
he croaked, just to hear his voice. The words echoed off the ceiling. Dunk tried to push himself onto his feet, but the effort set the cellar spinning. "Slowly, slowly," said a quavery voice close at hand. A stooped old man appeared beside the bed, clad in robes as gray as his long hair. About his neck was a maester's chain of many metals. His face was aged and lined, with deep creases on either side of a great beak of a nose. "Be still, and let me see your eyes." He peered in Dunk's left eye, then the right, holding them open between his thumb and forefinger.
"My head hurts,"
the maester snorted. "Be grateful it still rests upon your shoulders, sir. Here, this may help somewhat. Drink." Dunk made himself swallow every drop of the foul potion and managed not to spit it out.
"The tourney,"
he said, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand.
"Tell me, what's happened?"
"The same foolishness that always happens in these affrays. Men have been knocking each other off horses with sticks. Lord Smallwood's nephew broke his wrist, and Sir Eden Risley's leg was crushed beneath his horse, but no one has been killed thus far, though I had my fears for you, sir."
"Was I unhorsed?"
His head still felt as though it were stuffed full of wool, else he would never have asked such a stupid question. Dunk regretted it the instant the words were out. "With a crash that shook the highest ramparts. Those who had wagered good coin on you were most distraught, and your squire was beside himself. He would be sitting with you if I had not chased him off. I need no children underfoot. I reminded him of his duty." Dunk found that he needed reminding himself.
"What duty?"
"Your mount, sir. Your arms and armor."
"Yes,"
Dunk said, remembering. The boy was a good squire. He knew what was required of him. "I have lost the old man's sword and the armor that Steely Pate forged for me. Your fiddlin' friend was also asking after you. He told me you were to have the best of care. I threw him out as well."
"How long have you been tending me?"
Dunk flexed the fingers of his sword hand. All of them still seemed to work. "Only my head's hurt, and Sir Arlen used to say I never used that anyway. 4 hours by the sundial." 4 hours was not so bad. He had once heard tell of a knight struck so hard that he slept for 40 years and woke up to find himself old and withered.
"Do you know if Sir Uthor won his second tilt?"
Maybe the snail would win the tourney. It would take some sting from the defeat if Dunk could tell himself that he had lost to the best knight in the field. "That one? Indeed he did. Against Sir Adam Frey, a cousin to the bride, and a promising young lance. Her ladyship fainted when Sir Adam fell. She had to be helped back to her chambers." Dunk forced himself to his feet, reeling as he rose, but the maester helped to steady him.
"Where are my clothes? I must go. I must.
If you cannot recall, it cannot be so very urgent. The maester made an irritated motion. I would suggest that you avoid rich food, strong drink, and further blows between your eyes. But I learned long ago that knights are deaf to sense. Go, go. I have other fools to tend. Outside, Dunk glimpsed a hawk soaring in wide circles through the bright blue sky. He envied him. A few clouds were gathering to the east, dark as Dunk's mood. As he found his way back to the tilting ground, the sun beat down on his head like a hammer on an anvil. The earth seemed to move beneath his feet. Or it might just be that he was swaying. He had almost fallen twice climbing the cellar steps. I should have heated egg. He made his slow way across the outer ward, around the fringes of the crowd. Out on the field, plump Lord Alan Cockshaw was limping off between two squires, the latest conquest of young Glendon Ball. A third squire held his helm, its 3 proud feathers broken.
"Sir John the Fiddler,"
the herald cried.
"Sir Franklin of House Frey, a knight of the twins, sworn to the Lord of the Crossing. Come forth and prove your valor."
Dunk could only stand and watch as the fiddler's big black trotted onto the field in a swirl of blue silk and golden swords and fiddles. His breastplate was enameled blue as well, as were his pollines, cowder, greaves, and gorget. The ringmail underneath was gilded. Sir Franklin rode a dapple gray with a flowing silver mane, to match the gray of his silks and the silver of his armor. On shield and surcoat and horse trappings he bore the twin towers of Frey. They charged and charged again. Dunk stood watching, but saw none of it. Dunk the lunk, thick as a castle wall, he chided himself. He had a snail upon his shield. How could you lose to a man with a snail upon his shield? There was cheering all around him. When Dunk looked up, he saw that Franklin Frey was down. The fiddler had dismounted to help his fallen foe back to his feet. He is one step closer to his dragon's egg, Dunk thought. And where am I? As he approached the postern gate, Dunk came upon the company of dwarves from last night's feast preparing to take their leave. They were hitching ponies to their wheeled wooden pig, and a second wain of more conventional design. There were 6 of them, he saw, each smaller and more malformed than the last. A few might have been children, but they were all so short that it was hard to tell. In daylight, dressed in horsehide breeches and rough-spun hooded cloaks, they seemed less jolly than they had in motley. "Good morrow to you," Dunk said, to be courteous. "Are you for the road? There's clouds to the east. Could mean rain." The only answer that he got was a glare from the ugliest dwarf. Was he the one I pulled off Lady Butterwell last night? Up close, the little man smelt like a privy. One whiff was enough to make Dunk hasten his steps. The walk across the milk house seemed to take Dunk as long as it had once taken him and Egg to cross the sands of Dorne. He kept a wall beside him, and from time to time he leaned on it. Every time he turned his head, the world would swim. A drink, he thought. I need a drink of water, or else I'm like to fall. A passing groom told him where to find the nearest well. It was there that he discovered Kyle the cat, talking quietly with Maynard Plum. Sir Kyle's shoulders were slumped in dejection, but he looked up at Dunk's approach. "Sir Duncan, we had heard that you were dead, or dying." Dunk rubbed his temples. "I only wish I were. I know that feeling well." Sir Kyle sighed. "Lord Caswell did not know me.
When I told him how I carved his first sword, he stared at me as if I'd lost my wits. He said there was no place at Bitterbridge for knights as feeble as I'd shown myself to be.
The cat gave a bitter laugh.
He took my arms and armor, though. My mount as well. What will I do?
Dunk had no answer for him. Even a free rider required a horse to ride. Sellswords must have swords to sell.
You will find another horse, Dunk said as he drew the bucket up. The 7 kingdoms are full of horses. You will find some other lord to arm you.
He cupped his hands, filled them with water, drank.
Some other lord. Aye. Do you know of one? I'm not so young and strong as you, nor as big. Big men are always in demand. Lord Butterwell likes his knights large for one. Look at that Tom Heddle. Have you seen him joust? He's overthrown every man he's faced. Fireball's lad has done the same, though. The fiddler as well. Would that he had been the one to unhorse me. He refuses to take ransoms. He wants no more than the dragon's egg, he says. That and the friendship of his fallen foes. The flower of chivalry, that one.
Maynard Plum gave a laugh. The fiddle of chivalry, you mean? That boy is fiddling up a storm, and all of us would do well to be gone from here before it breaks.
He takes no ransoms? Said Dunk. A gallant gesture.
Gallant gestures come easy when your purse is fat with gold, said Sir Maynard. There is a lesson here if you have the sense to take it, said Duncan. It is not too late for you to go.
Go? Go where?
Sir Maynard shrugged. Anywhere. Winterfell, Summerhall, a shy by the shadow. It makes no matter so long as it's not here. Take your horse and armor and slip out the postern gate. You won't be missed. The snail's got his next tilt to think about, and the rest have eyes only for the jousting. For half a heartbeat, Dunk was tempted. So long as he was armed and horsed, he would remain a knight of sorts. Without them, he was no more than a beggar. A big beggar, but a beggar all the same. But his arms and armor belonged to Sir Uthor now. So did Thunder. Better a beggar than a thief. He had been both in Flea Bottom, when he ran with Ferret, Rafe, and Pudding, but the old man had saved him from that life. He knew what Sir Arlen of Pennytree would have said to Plum's suggestions. Sir Arlen being dead, Dunk said it for him.
Even a hedge knight has his honor.
Would you rather die with honor intact or live with it besmirched? No, spare me. I know what you will say. Take your boy and flee, gallows knight, before your arms become your destiny.
Dunk bristled. How would you know my destiny? Did you have a dream like John the Fiddler? What do you know of egg?
I know that eggs do well to stay out of frying pans, said Plum. Whitewalls is not a healthy place for the boy.
How did you fare in your own tilt, sir? Dunk asked him.
Oh, I did not chance the lists. The omens had gone sour. Who do you imagine is going to claim the dragon's egg, pray?
Not me, Dunk thought. The 7 know. I don't.
Venture a guess, sir. You have 2 eyes.
He thought a moment.
The fiddler? Very good. Would you care to explain your reasoning?
I have a feeling.
So do I, said Maynard Plum. A bad feeling for any man or boy unwise enough to stand in our fiddler's way. Egg was brushing Thunder's coat outside their tent, but his eyes were far away. The boy has taken my fall hard.
Enough, Dunk called. "Any more and Thunder will be as bold as you."
Sir?
Egg dropped the brush.
I knew no stupid snail could kill you, sir.
He threw his arms around him. Dunk swiped the boy's floppy straw hat and put it on his own head. "The maester said you made off with my armor." Egg snatched back his hat indignantly.
I've scoured your mail and polished your greaves, gorget, and breastplate, sir. But your helm is cracked and dinted where Sir Uthor's coronal struck. You'll need to have it hammered out by an armorer.
"Let Sir Uthor have it hammered. It's his now."
No horse, no sword, no armor. Perhaps those dwarves would let me join their troop. That would be a funny sight. 6 dwarves pummeling a giant with pig bladders.
Thunder is his too. Come, we'll take them to him and wish him well in the rest of his tilts."
Now, sir? Aren't you going to ransom Thunder?
"With what, lad? Pebbles and sheep pellets?"
I thought about that, sir. If you could borrow...
Dunk cut him off. "No one will lend me that much coin, Egg. Why should they? What am I but some great oaf who called himself a knight until some snail with a stick near stove his head in?"
Well, said Egg, you could have reins, sir. I'll go back to riding maester. We'll go to Summerhall. You can take service in my father's household. His stables are full of horses. You could have a destrier and a palfrey, too.
Egg meant well, but Dunk could not go cringing back to Summerhall. Not that way, penniless and beaten, seeking service without so much as a sword to offer. "Lad," he said, "that's good of you, but I want no crumbs from your lord father's table, or from his stables neither. Might be it's time we parted ways." Dunk could always slink off to join the city watch in Lannisport or Old Town. They liked big men for that. I've bumped my bean on every beam in every inn from Lannisport to King's Landing. Might be it's time my size earned me a bit of coin instead of just a lumpy head. But watchmen did not have squires. "I've taught you what I could, and that was little enough. You'll do better with a proper master-at-arms to see to your training. Some fierce old knight who knows which end of the lance to hold."
I don't want a proper master-at-arms, Egg said. I want you. What if I used my...
"No, none of that. I will not hear it. Go gather up my arms. We will present them to Sir Uthor with my compliments. Hard things only grow harder if you put them off." Egg kicked the ground, his face as droopy as his big straw hat.
"Aye, sir, as you say."
From the outside, Sir Uthor's tent was very plain. A large square box of dun-colored sailcloth staked to the ground with hempen ropes. A silver snail adorned the center pole above a long gray pennon, but that was the only decoration. "Wait here," Dunk told Egg. The boy had hold of Thunder's lead. The big brown destrier was laden with Dunk's arms and armor, even to his new old shield. The gallows night. What a dismal mystery night I proved to be. I won't be long. He ducked his head and stooped to shoulder through the flap. The tent's exterior left him ill-prepared for the comforts he found within. The ground beneath his feet was carpeted in woven Moorish rugs rich with color. An ornate trestle table stood surrounded by camp chairs. The feather bed was covered with soft cushions, and an iron brazier burned perfumed incense. Sir Uthor sat at the table, a pile of gold and silver before him and a flagon of wine at his elbow, counting coins with his squire, a gawky fellow close in age to Dunk. From time to time the snail would bite a coin or set one aside. "I see I still have much to teach you, Will," Dunk heard him say. "This coin has been clipped, t'other shaved, and this one,"
A gold piece danced across his fingers.
Look at the coins before taking them. Here, tell me what you see.
The dragon spun through the air. Will tried to catch it, but it bounced off his fingers and fell to the ground. He had to get down on his knees to find it. When he did, he turned it over twice before saying,
This one's good, my lord. There's a dragon on the one side and a king on t'other.
Underleaf glanced toward Dunk.
The hanged man. It is good to see you moving about, sir. I fear I'd killed you. Will you do me a kindness and instruct my squire as to the nature of dragons? Will, give Sir Duncan the coin.
Dunk had no choice but to take it. He unhorsed me. Must he make me caper for him, too? Frowning, he hefted the coin in his palm, examined both sides, tasted it.
Gold, not shaved or clipped. The weight feels right. I'd have taken it too, my lord. What's wrong with it?
The king. Dunk took a closer look. The face on the coin was young, clean-shaven, handsome. King Aerys was bearded on his coins, the same as old King Aegon. King Daeron, who'd come between them, had been clean-shaven, but this wasn't him. The coin did not appear worn enough to be from before Aegon the Unworthy. Dunk scowled at the word beneath the head. 6 letters. They looked the same as he had seen on other dragons. Daeron, the letters read, but Dunk knew the face of Daeron the Good, and this wasn't him. When he looked again, he saw something odd about the shape of the 4th letter. It wasn't
Daemon, he blurted out. It says Daemon. There never was any King Daemon, though, only
the Pretender.
Daemon Blackfyre struck his own coinage during his rebellion.
It's gold, though, Will argued. If it's gold, it should be just as good as them other dragons, my lord. The snail clouted him along the side of the head.
Cretin. Aye, it's gold. Rebels' gold. Traitors' gold. It's treasonous to own such a coin, and twice as treasonous to pass it. I'll need to have this melted down.
He hit the man again.
Get out of my sight. This good knight and I have matters to discuss.
Will wasted no time in scrambling from the tent.
Have a seat, Sir Uthor said politely. Will you take wine?
Here in his own tent, Underleaf seemed a different man than at the feast. A snail hides in his shell, Dunk remembered. Thank you, no. He flicked the gold coin back to Sir Uthor. Trader's gold. Blackfyre gold. Egg said this was a trader's tourney, but I would not listen. He owed the boy an apology.
Half a cup, Underleaf insisted. You sound in need of it.
He filled 2 cups with wine and handed one to Dunk. Out of his armor, he looked more a merchant than a knight.
You've come about the forfeit, I assume?
Aye. Dunk took the wine. Maybe it would help to stop his head from pounding.
I brought my horse and my arms in armor. Take them, with my compliments.
Sir Uthor smiled.
And this is where I tell you that you rode a gallant course.
Dunk wondered if gallant was a chivalrous way of saying clumsy.
That is good of you to say, but
I think you misheard me, sir. Would it be too bold of me to ask how you came to knighthood, sir?
Sir Arlen of Pennytree found me in Flea Bottom chasing pigs. His old squire had been slain on the red grass field, so he needed someone to tend his mount and clean his mail. He promised he would teach me sword and lance and how to ride if I would come and serve him. So I did. A charming tale. Though if I were you, I would leave out the part about the pigs.
Pray, where is your Sir Arlen now?
He died. I buried him.
I see. Did you take him home to Pennytree?
I didn't know where it was.
Dunk had never seen the old man's penny tree. Sir Arlen seldom spoke of it, no more than Dunk was wont to speak of Flea Bottom. I buried him on a hillside facing west so he could see the sun go down. The camp chair creaked alarmingly beneath his weight. Sir Uthor resumed his seat. I have my own armor, and a better horse than yours. What do I want with some old dun nag and a sack of dinted plate and rusty mail? Steely Pate made that armor, Dunk said, with a touch of anger. Egg has taken good care of it. There's not a spot of rust on my mail, and the steel is good and strong. Strong and heavy, Sir Uthor complained, and too big for any man of normal size. You are uncommon large, Duncan the Tall. As for your horse, he's too old to ride and too stringy to eat. Thunder is not as young as he used to be, Dunk admitted. And my armor is large, as you say. You could sell it, though. In Lannisport and King's Landing there are plenty of smiths who will take it off your hands. For a tenth of what it's worth, perhaps, said Sir Uthor, and only to melt down for the metal. No, it's sweet silver I require, not old iron, the coin of the realm. Now do you wish to ransom back your arms or no? Dunk turned the wine cup in his hands, frowning. It was solid silver, with a line of golden snails inlaid around the lip. The wine was gold as well, and heady on the tongue. If wishes were fishes, I'd pay, gladly. Only, you don't have 2 stags to lock horns. If you would lend my horse and armor back to me, I could pay the ransom later, once I found the coin. The snail looked amused. Where would you find it, pray? I could take service with some lord, or... It was hard to get the words out. They made him feel a beggar. It might take a few years, but I would pay you. I swear it. On your honor as a knight? Dunk flushed. I could make my mark upon a parchment, a hedge knight's scratch upon a scrap of paper. Sir Uthor rolled his eyes. Good to wipe my arse, no more. You are a hedge knight too. Now you insult me. I'll ride where I will and serve no man but myself, true. But it has been many a year since I last slept beneath a hedge. I find that inns are far more comfortable. I am a tourney knight, the best that you are ever like to meet. The best? His arrogance made Dunk angry. The Laughing Storm might not agree, sir, nor Leo Longthorn, nor the brood of Bracken. At Ashford Meadow no one spoke of snails. Why's that, if you're such a famous tourney champion? Have you heard me name myself a champion? That way lies renown. I would sooner have the pox. Thank you, but no. I shall win my next joust, aye, but in the final I shall fall. Butterwell has 30 dragons for the knight who comes second. That shall suffice for me, along with some goodly ransoms and the proceeds of my wagers. He gestured at the piles of silver stags and golden dragons on the table. You seem a healthy fellow, and very large. Size will always impress the fools, though it means little and less in jousting. Will was able to get odds of 3 to 1 against me. Lord Shawnee gave 5 to 1, the fool. He picked up a silver stag and set it to spinning with a flick of his long fingers. The old ox will be the next to tumble, then the knight of the Pussy Willows, if he survives that long. Sentiment being what it is, I should get fine odds against them both. The commons love their village heroes. Sir Glendon has hero's blood, Dunk blurted out. Oh, I do hope so. Hero's blood should be good for 2 to 1. Whore's blood draws poorer odds. Sir Glendon speaks about his purported sire at every opportunity, but have you noticed that he never makes mention of his mother? For good reason. He was born of a camp follower. Jenny, her name was. Penny Jenny, they called her, until the red grass field. The night before the battle, she fucked so many men that thereafter she was known as Red Grass Jenny. Fireball had her before that, I don't doubt, but so did 100 other men. Our friend Glendon presumes quite a lot, it seems to me. He does not even have red hair. Hero's blood, thought Dunk.
He says he is a knight.
Oh, that much is true. The boy and his sister grew up in a brothel called the Pussy Willows. After Penny Jenny died, the other whores took care of them and fed the lad the tale his mother had concocted about him being Fireball's seed. An old squire who lived nearby gave the boy his training, such that it was, in trade for ale and cunt. But being but a squire, he could not knight the little bastard. Half a year ago, however, a party of knights chanced upon the brothel, and a certain Sir Morgan Dunstable took a drunken fancy to Sir Glendon's sister. As it happens, the sister was still a virgin, and Dunstable did not have the price of her maidenhead, so a bargain was struck. Sir Morgan dubbed her brother a knight, right there in the Pussy Willows in front of 20 witnesses, and afterward little sister took him upstairs and let him pluck her flower. And there you are. Any knight could make a knight. When he was squiring for Sir Arlen, Dunk had heard tales of other men who'd bought their knighthood with a kindness or a thread or a bag of silver coins, but never with a sister's maidenhead. That's just a tale, he heard himself say. That can't be true. I had it from Kirby Pym, who claims that he was there, a witness to the knighting. Sir Uthor shrugged. Hero's son, whore's son, or both. When he faces me, the boy will fall.
The lots may give you some other foe.
Sir Uthor arched an eyebrow. Cosgrove is as fond of silver as the next man. I promise you, I shall draw the old ox next, then the boy. Would you care to wager on it?
I have nothing left to wager.
Dunk did not know what distressed him more, learning that the snail was bribing the master of the games to get the pairings he desired, or realizing the man had desired him. He stood.
I've said what I came to say. My horse and sword are yours, and all my armor.
The snail steepled his fingers. Perhaps there is another way. You are not entirely without your talents. You fall most splendidly. Sir Uthor's lips glistened when he smiled. I will lend you back your steed and armor, if you enter my service.
Service?
Dunk did not understand.
What sort of service? You have a squire. Do you need to garrison some castle?
I might if I had a castle. If truth be told, I prefer a good inn. Castles cost too much to maintain. No, the service I would require of you is that you face me in a few more tourneys. 20 should suffice. You can do that, surely. You shall have a 10th part of my winnings, and in future I promise to strike that broad chest of yours and not your head.
You'd have me travel about with you to be unhorsed?
Sir Uthor chuckled pleasantly. You are such a strapping specimen. No one will ever believe that some round-shouldered old man with a snail on his shield could put you down. He rubbed his chin. You need a new device yourself, by the way. That hanged man is grim enough, I grant you, but, well, he's hanging, isn't he? Dead and defeated. Something fiercer is required. A bear's head, mayhaps. A skull? Or 3 skulls, better still. A babe impaled upon a spear. And you should let your hair grow long and cultivate a beard. The wilder and more unkempt, the better. There are more of these little tourneys than you know. With the odds I'd get, we'd win enough to buy a dragon's egg before
it got about that I was hopeless. I lost my armor, not my honor. You'll have thunder in my arms, no more. Pride ill becomes a beggar, sir. You could do much worse than ride with me. At the least I could teach you a thing or two of jousting, about which you are peg ignorant at present. You'd make a fool of me. I did that earlier, and even fools must eat.
Dunk wanted to smash that smile off his face.
I see why you have a snail on your shield. You are no true knight.
Spoken like a true oaf. Are you so blind you cannot see your danger? Sir Uthor put his cup aside. Do you know why I struck you where I did, sir? He got to his feet and touched Dunk lightly in the center of his chest. A coronal placed here would have put you on the ground just as quickly. The head is a smaller target. The blow is more difficult to land, though more likely to be mortal. I was paid to strike you there.
Paid?
Dunk backed away from him.
What do you mean?
6 dragons tendered in advance, 4 more promised when you died. A paltry sum for a knight's life. Be thankful for that. Had more been offered, I might have put the point of my lance through your eye slit.
Dunk felt dizzy again.
Why would someone pay to have me killed? I've done no harm to any man at White Walls. Surely no one hated him that much but Egg's brother Arion, and the Bright Prince was in exile across the narrow sea.
Who paid you?
A serving man brought the gold at sunrise, not long after the master of the games nailed up the pairings. His face was hooded, and he did not speak his master's name.
But why?
Said Dunk. I did not ask. Sir Uthor filled his cup again. I think you have more enemies than you know, Sir Duncan. How not? There are some who would say you were the cause of all our woes. Dunk felt a cold hand on his heart.
Say what you mean.
The snail shrugged. I may not have been at Ashford Meadow, but jousting is my bread and salt. I follow tourneys from afar as faithfully as the maesters follow stars. I know how a certain hedge knight became the cause of a trial of 7 at Ashford Meadow, resulting in the death of Baelor Breakspear at his brother Makar's hand. Sir Uthor seated himself and stretched his legs out. Prince Baelor was well loved. The Bright Prince had friends as well, friends who will not have forgotten the cause of his exile. Think on my offer, sir. The snail may leave a trail of slime behind him, but a little slime will do a man no harm. While if you dance with dragons, you must expect to burn.